Hey guys, it's Danny, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some brand new leaks and rumors about the upcoming iMac Pro that is scheduled to release in a few months now. The last time Apple updated the iMac Pro line was in the summer of 2017, 4 years ago. Just quite a long time in the tech world. This iMac Pro is supposed to bring some better processor, new display, and supposedly a new redesign. And if all the leaks are true, this could be a pretty cool machine. If you want to learn more about these leaks and rumors, stick around for the entire video because I got some pretty good leaks and rumors for you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into the new video. Okay, so Apple's next generation of iMac Pro is expected to launch in the spring, and sometime during the spring of this year. And since display analyst Ross Young has given some new things about the display, performance, and the chip, and the new redesign that's supposed to happen, this is going to be the displays and the types of the machine. So Ross Young states that the new iMac Pro will likely launch in the spring in Apple's spring event, since Apple is pretty consistent in having their event every year. So that might happen. So hopefully it'll probably be an April event or a March event. We don't really know, but somewhere to be in those months. So it's gonna be pretty soon, about four months from now. And so as for the screen size, the rumors were that there's going to be two sizes for the iMac Pro, a 27-inch one and a 32-inch one. But that doesn't seem likely. Apple will probably just stick with just a 27-inch one, which if it has a new redesign, will be kind of tiny. I think it would be better if they made like a 30-inch. It'll be much better because 24 inches have a monitor that's 24. It's pretty small, so I think it will be better if it has 30 inches or 32 inches. But for now, it's supposed to be 27-inch, but that could change. But that is, I hope it's just 32 inches or 30. It'll be much better. As for the display type, OLED was the first answer, and that was what the rumors were pointing to. But it turns out Apple just a few months ago they broke off from the Samsung OLED displays company, so they don't have any OLED displays available. Their only display that they have available is Mini LED. So what I think Apple could do is just put Mini LED on their iMac Pro models, which would seem very likely, since Apple is still a company that if they do one product the way they do it, the next products will probably follow in the steps. So if they on the M1 iPad Pro they put Mini LED, the new MacBooks also have Mini LED. So I'm expecting it to be on this iMac Pro as well. OLED displays, Ross Young says OLED displays are in the future, are coming in 2023, possibly 2024, depends on how it goes for Apple. So yeah, I'm hoping the Mini LED is here, because Mini LED is kind of better than OLED, even though OLED is slightly better. The reason that problem with OLED is that it gets burning, so there's dead pixels on the display, and it's like a black thing where the pixels should be, so it's kind of a problem. Mini LED does not have that problem, so it's significantly better. And you get the same contrast ratio, 1,000,001, and the same deep blacks that you should get, instead of like those gray blacks on LCD displays. So Mini LED has tons of better, it's better than OLED, but they're about the same. And OLED is much more expensive. Mini LED is not that expensive. So it's supposed to come out in 2023, the OLED displays, but so far no OLED displays for this iMac Pro. And since Apple's getting better at making Mini LED, we can expect these displays to be much better, since better than maybe the MacBooks. Because with Mini LED, since they have like a backlight, they have 10,000 Mini LEDs on each display, so it's like an LCD except with tons more dimming zones. If you go with like a white dot on a just black display, you'll definitely see some blooming, which means like there's like kind of like this foggy halo-y effect on the display type, and that was a huge defect on the M1 iPad Pro. But on the MacBook Pros of this year, Apple has perfected it and made it a little bit better for the blooming, because you can definitely see blooming. It's like kind of like fussiness around the like what object moving around the display. You can definitely notice it even for the average person just buying it. So hopefully Apple can improve on that, and I'm pretty sure they will, since they're getting better at their display types, and we have seen that on the iPad Pro to the MacBook Pro. So that'll be pretty cool. Another pretty cool leak is that this iMac Pro will probably have 120 Hz refresh rate, since it's only battery or electricity powered, or plugged in, and it's not battery powered. So that can be much better for people who just video edits or just want smooth scrolling, or people who just game, since that'll be much better. And yeah, so it will probably have 120 Hz. That's a pretty cool leak. I'm pretty sure that will happen, since Apple MacBook Pros have 120 Hz. This one probably won't, since it's the iMac Pro. It's not just a regular iMac, it's the Pro model, so I'm pretty sure they'll have 120 Hz on it, which is pretty cool. ProMotion, that's pretty cool too, so I'm expecting that to happen this year, so that's excellent. And since this iMac Pro will be a pretty high-end machine, this will probably be high-end on Apple's lineup. So the MacBook Pros are the top Mac spec on Apple's lineup. Those probably will be there, and the price will probably be $3,000, something like that, not like $6,000, because that was a little bit too absurd for that. But hopefully this will be a pretty good machine. I'm thinking the display will be excellent on this, so that'll be pretty cool. And as for the ports, this iMac Pro will probably have 4 USB Thunderbolt 4 ports, 4 USB-C ports with Thunderbolt 4 capabilities, which is great for 40 gigabyte speeds and passing data, downloading data, stuff, etc., etc., etc. An SD card slot and an HDMI port. This time it doesn't really matter if it's HDMI 2.1 or 2.0. For those of you that don't know, HDMI 2.0 means you can connect a monitor or like your computer to a monitor, and it can run at the maximum of 4K 60 FPS. HDMI 2.1 means that you can connect your monitor to 4K 120 FPS or 120 Hertz, which is much better for smoothing and gaming. For gamers, are very important on that because they want smooth graphics when they move around playing first-person shooter games or whatever. So this will probably have with that, so that's much better. But if it's HDMI port, doesn't really matter. Just as hopefully it's HDMI. One complaint here is that there's no regard for USB ports. So I'm hoping Apple could add USB ports in the future, since USB is extremely important for the pros, since you can connect microphones by USB or any accessories by USB. So it's much better USB. Hopefully they can at least add 2 USB ports to make this a little bit more pro. That would be much better. They did not add USB ports on the MacBook Pros, so I'm pretty sure that might not come to the Mac Pro, but let's just hope it will. And hopefully there is still a headphone jack, probably yes, and that probably support high impedance headphones, which for people who are audiophiles, that means you can have better high clear audio, better audio. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, the ports better be good. As for the performance and the chips that this iMac Pro will have, this iMac Pro will probably have 2 different versions of it, with an M1 Pro machine and an M1 Max machine. And what Ross Young says here is that since they have extra room and they have better room for ventilation and cooling, Apple might be doing so that they can include 2 M1 Pro chips and 2 M1 Max chips into one chip. So instead of having just one M1 Pro chip inside the MacBook Pro, you have 2. You can double your power with less money, which is actually a pretty good idea, since they have more room inside the machine and better room for cooling. If it gets a little bit too hot, that'll be much better, since you can have double the performance and double the RAM on each spec. So it'll be 2 M1 Pro chips combined into one massive chip that it's inside this machine. So let's say you get the base model, you get like 2 M1 Pro machines plus 32 gigabytes of RAM, since each chip contains 16 gigabytes of RAM at the least spec. Just with the M1 Max, I think you have 32 gigabytes on the very least spec. So you have 64 gigabytes if you combine 2 chips into one. 64, 128, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty cool, because that means you get double the performance in a machine that's not even battery powered, and it's just electricity powered. So that is much better, and I think this could be very cool for editing, since it's not battery powered. You get much more performance gains, and so yeah, it's much better for that. So I think this will be a pretty cool machine if that could happen. That might be extremely cool, since Apple could probably do that, but they have to improve their chip production if they're aiming to do that. But we'll just have to wait and see how this thing turns out. But that would be amazing if that could actually happen. And the cooling system on this has to be extremely good, since they have more room, unlike the MacBook Pros. They could probably do this, and I'm pretty sure they could probably pull this off. And as for the design, there has been a lot of controversy over the chin, if the iMac Pro will have it or will not. I'll get into the chin a little bit later, but for now, let's get into the redesign news. That this iMac Pro will have a flattish design, just like the M1 iMac that came with it. Let's just hope that they make it a little bit thicker on the back, so that means we don't have a chin. Because if you look at the iMac Pro, the M1 iMac teardowns, all the components are in the chin. I mean, I get you need to have a chin for the speakers, but come on, at least take away the chin, at least make it a little bit smaller, a tiny chin, at least like a 2-inch chin, something like that, or 1 inch. So we'll have to wait and see. But this will have flattish design, just like the M1 iMac. It'll come in 2 colors, space gray and silver, probably. Hopefully space gray. Hopefully no white bezels, because white bezels would be terrible. I'm pretty sure they'll only come with black bezels, because that's what the pros want, black bezels, no white, because white distracts you way too much, especially if you're watching a video or content. It makes it kind of hard to see and kind of distract you from you're watching videos. So hopefully this could be much better, and I'm pretty sure the redesign will be pretty cool. If you look at the M1 iMac, it's thinner than a headphone jack. Like, that's pretty thinner than an Apple Watch. So I'm pretty sure this can be a little bit thicker, at least to put all the components back there for the cooling and the heating system. Let's just hope that does happen. But there will be a flattish design, just like the iPad Pros, the MacBook Pros, and the M1 iMac. So it's going to be pretty cool. Next up on this design is probably the MacBook Air, since Apple once one part goes that way, the rest probably usually follow. So like the iPhone, the iPad, the iPhone, the Mac, and the iMac. So that's probably going to happen. So let's just hope that that's a pretty cool redesign. And just kind of and the chin probably will be there for the speakers, but let's just hope it's a little bit thinner, just smaller, just way much smaller. If you have a chin, at least puts like an Apple logo, because Apple logo is pretty cool and Shin kind of like it. But one thing that I kind of hate a lot is that there's still going to be a notch. Just as I said, iPhone, then there's the Mac, and then there's going to be the iMac. That's probably going to happen. There's going to be a notch on the top bezel. Probably the good thing is that this display is huge, so it'll be very small, but probably you'll still notice it. Kind of looks kind of ugly though, but you'll still probably notice it. But it won't be as noticeable as on the MacBook Pro, so that thing is smaller and you can actually see the notch. If Apple doesn't put Face ID there, then we're gonna hit it hard on the notch, because that's terrible. If they put a Face ID next year, it's better now than next year, since that means you actually did something with the notch. And Apple could very well do this. They can do this since they have extra space in the machine. And I think they could very well put Face ID there first. But I don't think they will, at least next year, to call it revolutionary. I don't know. But there probably won't be Face ID. Probably going to be wireless Touch ID, which is still, cool. But Face ID is better. Face ID is like the future, since it's better. Face ID is much better. But I hope Apple can at least do something cool. Maybe include the Magic Mouse 3, or like a wireless keyboard, whatever their name. I think it's Magic Keyboard 3, stuff like that. At least improve your Magic Mouse design too, because it's getting pretty old. Kind of like the design of the Magic Mouse. It's pretty nice, but I just don't like. At least make it a little bit better with Bluetooth and better battery life. But the battery life on the mouse is extremely good too. Not gonna lie. So this needs to have Face ID. It's a waste of space, so they do. Apple needs to put Face ID on it. And as for this, for the price, we can expect this thing to go on sale for like $3,000, something like that. Because I think Apple could reduce the price since they're making their own chips now, not buying chips from Intel and other companies. So I very well think this could go down in price to $3K, which is much better than spending $4,000, $5,000 on a machine. Because that's just overpriced. So let's just hope and see what it does. Go follow me on Instagram. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's very nice having happy holidays. Go follow me on Instagram if you haven't. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video. And I'm going to make a review on the Beats Studio 3 somewhere around December 30th, 31st. I need more time to test them, because I've worked out in them, played soccer, basketball, and so far they've been pretty good. Sound quality is also pretty good too. And I just overall like the feel and how they do. The clapping force is pretty good too. So I got this for Christmas. Before Christmas, I got this a little bit early. So that's really cool. And my dad also got a monitor, an Asus monitor, 1080p, 75 Hertz to review also for his job. So I'm going to review that too about January 1st. I got a pretty good products to review. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.